Welcome everyone to once more Getting on the Tabletop. So, 10th edition is nearly around the corner, which of course will give us Tyranids versus Space Marines. And about a year ago, I decided to paint up some Warhammer 40k Tyranid models for my sister for her birthday. Well, more specifically, she decided to pick out Tyranids for her birthday. So I picked up the models she wanted and I painted probably almost a box of Hormagaunts. That's all I really done. Yay! But anyways, I want to get my feet wet once again painting up Tyranid models, specifically in the Leviathan color scheme. But I also want to get my feet wet again also to try to finish up her models and as well get the box set painted up of those models so I can actually give it to her so she can of course get on the tabletop as well, as I strongly believe 10th edition is the best way to get into Warhammer 40k right now. A great new edition with great new rules, which doesn't seem to be overcomplicated from what I've seen so far. So let's paint up a Tyranid Hormagaunt for today's Getting on the Tabletop. So here is our Hormagaunt, fully sub-assembled. I do like sub-assembly for Hormagaunts just because it's much easier. So anyways, we have the model itself on the base. Now these models do like this weird like plastic cylinderly thing. So their bases are like cut down the middle. So as much as I do not like putting models on bases because it does impede me from doing my basing, I have to put this on the base because I need to be able to base over this plastic piece. You probably could cut it away from this little plastic piece, do the model, and then just super glue it down onto the base. Or like put something up there so you can just like super glue it, his foot up onto it so that he can be held there. But yeah, and then of course I have the arms here, and of course I have the legs. So this is an older sub-assembly I did for a while where I was using toothpicks because toothpicks with super glue do not bind well with models. So all you have to do is just like snap away the toothpick, just use a hobby knife or something to like carve away the super glue and the toothpick so it's a flat surface again. And again, once we're done with painting up all of these little things, we're just gonna then super glue them into the body, the two arm holes, and then the leg. Now, of course, this is the older Hormagaunt model. Of course, we'll have to see what the Hormagaunt model looks like in 10th edition, since of course the Tyranids are getting a revamp for their line. But anyways, I did already prime them. I used, of course, white matte primer from, of course, Army Painter. Very nice. But anyways, why prime them white? Well, that's because it's very easy for us to do the Hormagaunt skin with a white primer. So if you're doing High Fleet Leviathan, I highly recommend not doing it as your first thing, because white, or getting this white flesh tone that Leviathan has, isn't exactly easy, and I've had to play around with getting that flesh tone, but it's not incredibly hard. It's just not fun for your first model. I highly recommend maybe going into the Tyranids that are the red bodies with I think like the black or blue carapace on them. Oh my, is that Behemoth? I think that's Behemoth. You can all correct me in the comments what the correct High Fleet that is, but I think that's Behemoth. I think that'd be a really cool High Fleet to start out with, especially for that. But anyways, let's get this model painted up. So the first step we're going to do is all of the skin. That's like the largest portion of this model. So that's everything on our little friend, all the gribbly arms and gribbly leg, and then yeah, so we're gonna do that first. So to do that color, we're gonna apply multiple coats of the pallid witch flesh. So this is like a pseudo white, I think, but I really like this color because it really starts giving you that flesh tone, and that's why we paint prime in white, because this color over white gives the flesh tone that I like for High Fleet Leviathan, which of course these Hormagaunts will be painted up in. So let's get this on. Now, as you can see here, what I've actually done is I've put this model on a Citadel holder. I do like these holders very well for me to hold like this so I can like control how I'm painting rather than trying to hold the base. If you like holding the base, go right ahead. If you have these holders, they're very, very nice. So anyways, I got some Pallid Witch Flesh on my brush, and all we're going to do is we're going to cover the entire skin in this. Now this is probably going to take about 2 to 3 nice thin coats to get the entire model covered. Now make sure, of course, you do not clog any of the pores or any of the details, like these 3 bubbles or the chest area or the bubbles on his holes on his head or the little kneecap or this little area right here. Let me zoom in, or this little area right here. You don't want to cover that up because again, you don't want to clog it with paint. But anyways, we're just going to go through the entire model, just putting down a couple of nice thin coats of Pallid Witch Flesh. Now, of course, when you're done with the body, move on to the leg. The leg here, it's the same thing. Everything that's going to be the flesh tone. So the only thing that won't be this flesh tone is this part right here, which is the, let me bring this on camera. So the only part that won't be flesh tone is this part right here, which is going to be carapace, which will be purple. And then of course the little claws, which will be red. And then of course on this will said the little claws are all that is not going to be red. But again, if you do happen to get Pallid Witch Flesh parts of the model that are going to be a different color, do not concern yourself with that, because again, if you did only in a couple of thin coats, it will not matter. So let's get this guy finished up. So after a couple of thin coats, we got the Pallid Witch Flesh down. Again, you can see a difference between what was primed white to what is the Pallid Witch Flesh color. Again, it took about 2 coats. If you don't get a good consistency and you want more, go down to a 3rd coat. It's really nice. Again, I also filled in the little holes here where the body parts that we have sub-assembled go, and they will be in here. It just is a nice thing to have, just to make sure you know everything is all together for the paint. Again, just to show off a leg here, difference in the Pallid Witch Flesh color there. A arm as well. And of course, this arm right here. I did forget to say that I am using all Citadel based paints for this project. So if you do want to paint this, do not feel obliged to go buy Citadel paints to color this. There's Vallejo and I think even Army Painter have very similar colored paints to match this. Again, if you're going to paint up Tyranids for the first time, I'd highly recommend just maybe your own custom colors or something like that instead of the Leviathan, because Leviathan I think is just a little harder to deal with, and especially for your first time painting Tyranids, I highly recommend just something else. So now that we have that done, now we're going to shade this. Now, Citadel will tell you to do an overall shade of the entire model and then come back and lighten up everything with, once again, Pallid Witch Flesh. I don't like that. I think that just takes too much time to really what we want to shade in, which is all like the little pieces right there, like his chest area right here, like his chest area, these little holes, his head parts right here, the little flaps between his head, and it's the same thing for the arms, even the little joints between his legs. So instead, we're just going to use some 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 crimson here, 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 crimson. This way, just either way, just so you can see, some 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 crimson. All we're going to do is directly apply that to where we want the crimson color to be, and that's really it. That's all we're really going to do. We're not going to do an overall shade. If you want to do an overall shade, go right ahead and do an overall shade. I just don't like doing an overall shade and then having to upper highlight the flesh back up again. I just prefer to put this, the 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 crimson, where I kind of just want it to go. So I've gone to a smaller brush here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into the areas where I want the 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 crimson to go. Again, this gives that Leviathan look of the flesh. And it does it without us having to basically come all the way up the flesh, basically covering this over the entire model and then just bringing the model back up. Now, if you do get it on the flesh, no worries, just simply go back with some Power Witch flesh and then just fix that up. Sorry, I was off camera, but that joint right there and just trying to highlight it. Again, this just brings out more of the Leviathan flesh. So anyways, we're gonna do that throughout the entirety of the model. Again, we're gonna get it even in these little areas right here, and then we're gonna do it for the entirety of the legs and the arms as well. So let's get that done. All right, well, we've completed the 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴𝐵 Crimson. Again, just giving some highlights to the skin areas of the chest, all the little knee areas. But yes, very, very nice highlighting there. Just gives some good definition to everything on this model. Of course, the same thing we did for the arms, for the arm here. Here's the second arm, again, just the same thing. Again, if you want to go lighter, don't use as much. If you want to go darker, put another coat over it. It just really matters how much you really want to use the 𝐒𝐍𝐵 Crimson. Now then, we've gotten all this done, so what is next? Well, next we're going to edge highlight the entirety of the skin. But that's how I would normally do it. I think I'm going to try a dry brush over the entirety of the skin just to speed up the process, because all we really have left is our good tongue in the mouth and the entirety of our carapace. And that's really all this model is. And then we, of course, we will base it. Oh, and I fully forgot, we got all the little claws and hooves and little claws and the big claws and all of that. But that's really about it. It's not a big model, doesn't have a lot of different colors attached to it. So if you want to edge highlight, you can. I'm going to be doing my edge highlighting as well as my dry brushing with white scar. You can put white over that. Again, all we're going to do with edge highlight is just catch the raised areas of the model. That's all we're really going to do with it. So I got a big old dry brush here. So all we're going to do is we're just going to gently pick all of the raised areas out on the model. I wish I had probably used this smaller brush. I think I would have had a little more control than the big brush, but nonetheless, that's why we learn. But anyways, the white is down. It just gives a subtle highlight to the miniature, subtly highlighting out that Power Witch flesh. I did go back and darken up some more of the 𝐒𝐍𝐵 Crimson color just to bring it back up to full here. But anyways, again, the white scar just giving a subtle change between the Power Witch flesh color and pretty much like the Leviathan color. Again, you could easily have done that with an edge highlight as well, but a lot of times dry brushing is very easy. I think I would have rather have done a overall dry brush after the Power Witch flesh and then gone in with the 𝐒𝐍𝐵 Crimson and darken everything up. But also this color, the white scar was actually for the teeth as well, so we did actually cover the teeth as well. So yeah, that's a very nice as well that we got the teeth color done as well. So anyways, let's get all the little claws and the claw and this claw done. So anyways, we're gonna start off with, of course, a base coat of good old corn red. So anyways, I have a small brush here and we're just going to very carefully start working our way through all of the little claws here. Again, we want to be cautious because we do not want to get anything on the Power Witch flesh that we have now fully completed. So we just want to be cautious of that. But this will also be used for, of course, this little claw that's down here on the foot. And then, of course, our good Mr. Hoof as well. I'm gonna make sure that gets a nice coat of red. We won't be doing the little rim of the foot. There's a rim piece on the foot. We're not gonna do that. And of course, we'll also be doing the front claw here. as well red. Of course, that's going to be nice. So anyways, let's get these all painted up. Well, we finished the red. There we go. Little turn right there on the Tyranid. Again, just the little claw there, and then of course his hoof and his little claw in the back. Two, of course, thin coats of our Khorne red. Again, just a look at the foot with the other hoof and the other claw, and then the claw on the back of the foot as well. Here is one of his scything talons, of course, with the little claws there, and then his claw here. And then, of course, his big old scything talon there. I tried to get a better look at it, but yeah, there it is. And then finally, his other scything talon. What you. Really nice looking. Altogether, it's been going good so far, coming well together, but now let's do some shading. And you know what? I loved 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴M Crimson so much. Let's use it again. Of course, for this 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴M Crimson, we're going to, of course, put it over all of our red, because that's what we want to color with the 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴M Crimson. We want to color the red. This, of course, will darken up the red and give it a nice shade all together. And then of course after that we will go right into highlighting our beautiful claws. So everything that had Khorne red on it, we want to highlight. Just be cautious with, again, the shade, but more cautious than ever about the pale, your flesh, because again, you don't want to get the crimson onto the flesh that is not meant to have the crimson. So let's get this done. So we have let the 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴M Crimson dry on to the red. It didn't take too long. Again, these are small little surfaces, but it did darken up the Khorne red, and that's exactly what we want it to do for us. Again, just a look at our leg here. Again, just darkened up all the areas of the 𝐒𝐍𝐉𝐴M Crimson. Again, just darkened up, went to little recesses on the side of it. Again, with these flat areas, do make sure not to let the shade pool. Otherwise, you're gonna get weird dark, like very dark spots on it. Maybe you want those really dark spots, but again, just a little cautionary tale, because normally wash is supposed to go in recesses. It doesn't like solid surfaces like what we have here. So it's not exactly going to like drying on a surface if it's pooling. Otherwise you get those big dark spots that sometimes you might see. So again, just make sure you're not letting the wash pool in any real section of flat surface. Now, what are we gonna do with the red? Let's highlight. So we're gonna do edge highlighting for the red here, not the dry brush. As you can see, it's a little tight on this model to dry brush, and it's really tight on, of course, the arms as well. You could probably dry brush the arms, just because you'll be dry brushing the talon and the little thing, but there isn't really a big space on these guys that really needs the dry brushing. In my opinion, just a subtle edge highlighting works probably the best for small areas. Dry brushing really works for like big areas, if you just need to get like big areas quickly brushed up. So for the edge highlighting, we're first going to start off with some 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐃 red. We're going to start off with some 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐃 red, not 𝐒𝐻 Sun Scarlet, but 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐃 red. So this is going to be your main highlight. So that's going to go over the entirety of everything that is red and just edge highlighting everything. And then we're going to do an extreme edge highlight of Wild Rider red. That's going to go like on the tips of the claw here, just like the tip, and then like the tip of the hoof, and that's really about it. And then like on the scything talon, it's really just going to go like on the tip of the scything talon. Now, if you do not want to do an extreme highlight, which means you just go over and like highlight like the most extreme edges of the model, then you don't have to. There's no rule that you have to then go into an extreme highlight. A lot of painting videos will go into it, some people don't. For instance, when I paint my Iron Hands Space Marines, I don't go into, when I'm doing their armor, I don't go into an extreme edge highlighting. I simply just do Dark Reaper, and then that is all I do. But I wanted to show off how you can use extreme edge highlighting using, of course, with these Tyranid models. Now, so I've got the paint here. So what we're going to do is, of course, when you do edge highlighting, you're just following the edge of the part of the model, and then you're just pulling it up across it. So that's all you're doing. That's what edge highlighting really is. It's just simply highlighting the edge and bringing it out. So when we're done with that, after all the edge highlights, again, we're gonna go back, do this, and then of course, like I said, that's just gonna be on the tip of that claw. So edge highlight everything red, and then go through the Wild Rider red, or simply just do the 𝐒𝐍𝐶𝐘𝐒 red and call it good. I mean, just kind of matters if you want to do the extreme or not. It's really up to you if you really want to do the extreme. So let's get this entire model highlighted with some 𝐒𝐍𝐶𝐘𝐒 red and then some Wild Rider red. So we have completed it all. I went through, highlighted. I'm not sure if the camera picks up all of the extreme mode. You can see right there where the orange is like at the tips of the claws for the Tyranid. That's exactly what I was going for, and that's what the extreme highlight does. Otherwise, the 𝐒𝐍𝐶𝐘𝐒 red just gives you a highlight, highlighting it out. I'll show you here on the foot. Again, just see it's just that tipping right there. That's all really we want to do. I think it will pick up like, there we go, right there. You see how it just tips? That's exactly what we want. For instance, for this claw right here, you could just see I just tipped it. I even tipped it on the front just to give it to when, you know, someone's looking down at it, they're not looking at from the side, they can just see the tip, and I did tip the claw. But anyways, that's exactly what the Wild Rider red is just supposed to do. It's just supposed to go to the tip and just give it that ability to look really nice. And again, it just draws your opponent's eye, or the person you're playing against, to that point right there. So you just want to, that's what all it does. It just draws your opponent's eye to that part of the model. We've nearly finished it all. Not really much left. As you can see, there's really only one part. The carapace and a tongue. So anyways, we're gonna do the tongue real quick, just because it is only one part of this before we finish up all of the carapacing. So for the tongue, we will be going down, if I can find, okay, here we go. We're gonna start off with a base coat of Screamer Pink, like that. Then it's our good friend, Mr. 𝐂𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 Crimson, that's gonna darken up that Screamer Pink. Then we're gonna start with a general highlight of the good old pink horror. After that, a extreme highlight of Emperor's Children. Again, if you don't want this extreme highlight, you can completely ignore it. And that will be the tongue, so we'll be right back after I finish the tongue. So there is the tongue done. Again, not all the Tyranid models have a tongue jetting out of their mouths, but if you do have a tongue, that's a good color scheme right there to do. Again, just really nice color, love that for tongues. So that just leaves two items really left. We have some eyeballs to paint, but we will do that last. But the major part, the carapace. This is the last major item on a Tyranid model. Now, to start off our carapace work, we're gonna do some Dragunov Night. Dragunov Night. For some reason, I thought that was Nightshade, but that is not Dragunov Nightshade. It's just Dragunov Night. So this is a very nice purple color, and I really love it for Leviathan carapaces. Now, I'm gonna start the carapace down here at the tail, because I actually want to start with the little thing right here. And I'm just gonna work my way up. The tail just being, again, cautious of the fact that there is the skin on the model as well. Now, it is also a reminder that the leg itself, there is a chunk of carapace, and it is this part right there. So right there is 2 pieces of carapace right there on the leg. So do not forget that when working through the carapace. Is the same for this leg right here. There is 2 pieces of carapace on it as well. So anyways, you just need to work slow throughout the carapace and just cover it up. Again, for the bigger parts, you can switch to a bigger brush, or you can stay with the small if you feel more control. But anyways, we're just going to cover all of that in Dragunov Knight. So we've done it. The Nagaroth Knight is done. But anyways, the carapace is completely done. It took about 2 coats to really cover up and get the rich purple color we're looking for, of course, for the Leviathan carapace. Again, we did this little leg right here as well. Again, the little dots upon the tail. We did that very carefully. And as of course, we did get the carapace on the leg. Try to get a good image of it. Okay, I think it's good right there. But yeah, anyways, we did get that as well. But anyways, we are ready for another shade. This time, of course, shading our carapace. And to do that, we're gonna do 𝐒𝐄𝐄 Violet. This is a nice purple color. It's going to enrich our purple color as well for the carapace. So now that we got some 𝐒𝐄𝐄 Violet onto our brush, we're just going to go over the carapace. Again, we're just going to be very careful not to get this 𝐒𝐄𝐄 Violet, of course, onto the skin. We just want to cover the carapace. We don't want any, of course, pooling again, because this is almost all flat surface. I try to make sure I'm in the camera. All flat surface, so anyways, just take your time and get the shade on. So we of course used our 𝐒𝐄𝐄 Violet to of course darken up the carapace. You can see it's now in much richer looking purple. Again, very careful with all of the flesh, especially with the tail nubs right here. It's really close to the flesh itself. But anyways, we did that of course for the model. And then of course for the leg as well, just making sure we get that color. So anyways, next up we're going to do a very interesting style of highlighting. So next up we're going to be using Xerneas Purple right here. So Xerneas Purple, besides edge highlighting the carapace, we're gonna do the little scratch marks that are seen on Tyranid carapaces. So let's get some Xerneas Purple on a palette, and we'll talk about how we're going to do the scratch marking on the carapace. For the scratch marking on the carapace, what you're going to do is you're just going to flick the brush down like this, and we're going to just gently put on some tick marks onto the carapace. So basically that's all you really want to do. That's how you'll do it. You'll just do it through the entirety of the carapace, as little and as much as you want. Again, it's the user's preference for your carapace. But besides edge highlighting and doing that, that is all you really need to do for the carapace for Xerneas Purple. So let's get the carapace done. So there we go. So anyways, just a quick look at the carapace. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, but there is a subtle scratching mark there on the carapace, just giving a definition to it. Again, do as much scratching, as little scratching or anything like that upon the carapace. Again, do it on the head, do it on the main body, and then of course, to try to get it in focus again, do it on the leg as well. Now, when I'm doing my scratching, I'm only going down the back area, so basically scratching them up. So I only did up to the area, and then when I did the head, I scratched down. So basically I just scratch up the edges here of the edges of each of the main carapaces and each of the edges of the main head carapace. That's all I really did for the scratching. Again, it's the same philosophy with the leg as well, of like scratching up where the edges are. So that leaves us with two more colors left. Now we're going to do a highlight of Genestealer Purple. Now this is not an extreme highlight. If you want to turn this into extreme highlight, go right ahead and extreme highlight parts of the model. I think I've done that before for the others I built, but I really don't want to do an extreme highlight. I just want to do this to do some more scratch marking. So basically just adding a little deeper, a little richer, lighter purple into the scratch marks on the main purple carapace. If you want to do this as an extreme highlight to bring out some parts of the carapace, go right ahead. I will not be doing it for this model. Again, extreme highlights really are your user discretion of whether or not you want to bring something to your opponent's eye or something like that, like this horn, if you want to give that a little more. But I'm just going to use the Genestealer purple to just give a few more lighter purple scratches to the carapace. So let's get that done. So we completed the Genestealer purple. Again, I didn't do an extreme highlight there. I just gave the carapace a little more that Genestealer purple, just giving it some other scratches. You could definitely tell how there's a nice transition of the Xerneas purple with the Genestealer purple, just giving a very interesting scratching onto the carapace. Again, do as much or as little as you want, just don't go over crazy with the carapace. Again, just the same thing with the leg. So that just leaves the base. So we're going to be using Citadel technical paint basing material here for the base, and to do that we're going to go with Armageddon Badland. So if you've never worked with any of Citadel's technical paints, what you're going to do is you're going to pop this open. You're going to take this little Citadel tool that I have here. It's got a scooping edge and then a spreading edge. I'm going to get some of the technical paint onto the brush. Then you're going to take your model and you're going to then spread that out onto the base. So then, of course, that's with the scooping edge, and then with the flatter edge, you're just going to push that around the base. Again, you want to cover up everything. Now, if you get on the rim, don't worry, just pull it off the rim. This stuff is very wet and very nice. So anyways, we're just going to work our way around the base. Now, if you want to push this up onto like the foot of the model, like the hoof of that model, then go right ahead. I really see a lot of people doing this with technical paints, putting it up on their model to give it a look of realism to like their area that they're on. So go ahead and do that if you want to. Again, just cover up the entirety of your base. Remember, again, we don't want to cover this with the rim. The rim will be a completely different color. So anyways, after you're done, of course, with this basing material, give it ample time to dry. You want to make sure this basing material is not wet for the next step. So anyways, just take your time and go through the model. So we finished the base of Armageddon Badland. What I really like about Armageddon Badland is all the cracking and the breaking it does as it slowly dries. So anyways, like I said, I gave it a good couple hours to fully cure. So now that that is fully cured, we're going to grab some Cassandor yellow here, a wash, and we're going to wash the base. What this is going to do is going to give it a nice yellow tinge and also get in all the little cracks and crevices and start highlighting it all for us before we go into a dry brush of it. So there we go. The Cassandor yellow has just nicely given us a different color, lightening up the more dark mud looking color the Badland technical paint gave us. So anyways, the last thing to do here is of course our Tyrant Skull dry brush. Now once again, when using any dry paint, put it onto a nice dry brush. Here are a brush you'll use for the dry. I'm going to use this medium dry brush from Citadel. Get it on there, then you're going to get it on. Brush the paint, remove the dry paint from your brush onto a paper towel until there's a okay amount of dry paint on it. So, and then we're just gonna put that all over the rim. Again, if you wanted to put this dry paint on some of the leg or some of the tail, kind of blend in like a dusty look to the model, then you can do that as well. Again, that is up to you. Much like where if you want to blend the base into like the foot or the leg to show like this muddy earth that this Hormagaunt is going through, Again, that is up to user's preference. Personally, I'm just going to try to get my Tyrant Skull only on the base. So the Tyrant Skull has given a nice highlight. Again, if you want to darken up that Tyrant Skull, or lighten it up, I guess you say, come back again with another round. So what you want to do is a light dry brushing, and then if you want to darken up any areas or lighten them up or add more dry brushing to that area, then go right ahead after the first layer. So the last thing to do here is just to color that rim, and I'm going to use Steel Legion drab for that. I really like Steel Legion drab. Again, whatever color you choose to do the rim and whatever base you choose to do the model, make sure to try to keep your army in that same style. That way the army has some uniformity for their base. But that is pretty much it. After doing the Steel Legion drab, I'm going to clean up the sub-assembled arms and legs, glue them into their place, and this model will be ready for the tabletop. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that painting video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the lighting and all of that. I'm trying different things. I try to get, you know, these videos looking nice, and let me know about the lighting or what else I should change about it. Again, let me know down in the comments everything as well. But once more, if you are going to be picking up the Leviathan box set and you are going to be painting up those Tyranid models, I'd highly recommend maybe going behemoth or your own custom color scheme. Leviathan isn't exactly easy, especially because of the Leviathan flesh paint scheme. But it's not an impossible paint scheme to do. I just recommend for starters, probably not going down that pathway. Maybe like a purple skin or the behemoth red skin or anything like that. Just start out with a simple color, not trying to do an off-brand white. But once again, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Once again, I'm trying to get all of these Tyranid models painted up so I can give them my sister so she can have more Tyranid models. So of course she can play some Warhammer 40k with me, or if she happens to find a shop player down in her life that she wants to play some Tyranid models with. So with that, make sure to also like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you get notified when my videos go live for you, especially if you're an enjoyer of battle reports, an enjoyer of these getting on the tabletop painting videos, or an enjoyer of discussion videos. I have plenty of them out there. And also while you're down there pressing the subscribe, like, and ringing the bell, leave a comment about Leviathan, what you think of Tyranids. Are you going to be picking them up? Are you painting them? What's your paint schemes or anything like that? Any conversation I'm more than happy to have with you down in the comment section. And with that, I say thank you for watching here at Mama Dragon's Miniatures, and let's get on to the glamour shot.